Okay. Do you guys see that it says like we're live on YouTube at the top now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's so nuts. Okay.
That's so cool.
It's so cool. It's still telling me it's almost doing it, but let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, we're live.
Do you guys see that it says like
Okay. So it's delayed on YouTube a bit. Yeah. Okay. So Court, I put you like I actually went through your chart first.
Hey.
So I went based off like who responded first. So I'm going like in a little question form. The first question that like I wanted to know is, what do you want to accomplish? And your response was the 5 to 10K mark in sponsorships. Is that still true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So when I looked at your human design chart, the first thing I noticed is that you have that left arrow for the manifestation. And so I was thinking, instead of doing a range, that we should probably pick like the exact amount of what it would be. So instead of saying like 5 to 10K, like, do we want that 8K? Do we want that 5K or the 10K? Like, what really lights you up?
So in my affirmations, it's usually most consistently 10.
Okay.
I don't know, every once in a while I'll just be like, okay, can I get 5? Can I consistently get 5? But usually it's 10. It's 10.
Okay, so I want to name the 10K because with that left arrow, you have to be really specific with your manifestations. And that range is more of like, I would say the range is more for the right arrowed person for the manifestation. So I'm gonna like highlight in my notes 10K in sponsorships. Does that feel good for you?
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yes. Okay. You gotta own it with the left arrow.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And so here's the other notation I had up is this your view, how you see things, right? So for me, for you have this ability to see things from a possibility of possibilities or probabilities, which you already know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Sure.
So as you're entering this thought process of 10K in sponsorships, I wanted you to kind of envision all the possible ways that this can happen, not the probability of, because even when we said the 10K, I saw the hesitation of like, well, how are we going to do that?
Right, the whole like probability of like, well, probably versus like, what are those possibilities?
What are those possibilities?
That's what you're saying, right?
Yes. Like, so if everything wasn't like, just own right now that you have everything that you need. What are the possible avenues that you would take to get to that 10K mark? Like, who would you contact? Where would you go? Who would you put on the team? Like, what is the possibilities, not the probabilities of like, I had literally put like the 10% chance that you'll make the 10K, but really like focusing on the possibilities of it.
Okay.
I put like a big explanation mark. And I was like, if I were you, I would envision that first, all the possibilities, and then like follow your emotional authority.
Okay.
And then start initiating as a manifester. Like contact the people that you felt led to do the things that you're like needing to do to make that happen.
Okay.
How does that feel with the 10K and then the approach of the possibilities versus probabilities aspect?
So I think both of those like I've been aware of for a little bit. I think the thing that really where I really get stuck up on is the probability. Especially with my spleen, the fear of the past was at 32. It turns into probability so quick of like, well, let's, I mean, I don't think I think it this way, but I think it is like the whole, if I'm realistic, then I won't be so let down type of thing.
Yeah.
So like just hearing that, it's like, okay. And then just the reality of like, okay, what, not just like sometimes what I'll do is like, I'll go on like a rant or a rampage of like, there are endless possibilities and, like affirmation and like positivity and stuff. But then just like the reality of, like what are the actual possible avenues to get us here? Like how do we turn this, like this thought as a manifester, how do I turn these thoughts into things that I can be like, I can initiate here, and this is the avenue. This is another possible avenue. So that's super helpful to just be like, what are the possible avenues to get there?
Yes, and it's so important because I know looking at your astrology chart, you have Saturn in the house with money. So you actually want to always, it's like you're thinking about practicality. Like it's this
Right.
looming thing about like what has to happen. It feels responsible, it feels heavy, right? And so it's kind of like, but the other crazy part is Jupiter is the planet that like rules that house. So you have to stay in this like optimistic state. Like that's how you bring in the abundance. Um, I had wrote that you should always be looking at things through an expansive, optimistic lens. And I wrote that when you're not, you're on the wrong track, right? Because like this, in order to access this abundant money house, you have to have that abundant mindset of like possibilities. And this is kind of how your human design and astrology chart kind of like merge because it's telling you your view is possibilities, but you also have Jupiter that's like running, is like the planet that runs your money. So it's all about
Right.
expansion, 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 growth, optimism, like those keywords.
Okay.
Um, I think we talked about this before too, but it's really important when you're thinking about the possibilities, think about partnerships. Cause like you're really not designed to do it by yourself, right?
No, I'd be exhausted. Like, come on, man. What's happening here? Like, I need universe help.
Yes. Yes. So like your job, I think, is to get it started for people to like then join you and move it on, right? So
Okay.
it's like your job is to envision what you want. Your job is to like manifest how it will look. And then from that point, you are like, okay, who do I need to bring on to keep this vision from going? But like getting it started as much as you feel led that you can. Does that make sense?
Mm, yeah, I mean, that's something that like that's definitely something that I struggle with of like even just yeah, finding people who want to help and actually can help. Like sometimes like I'll have people be like, "How can I help?" And like they can't. Like, it's like, okay, is this an empty gesture because like you don't have the skill set or you don't have the background to help me or whatever, right? Um so like that's the thing that I mean I've struggled with since I started the Unpopular Black of like how do I even um call in a business partner or anything like that. Like that's been my struggle.
I think the part is too, the optimistic viewpoint I see with this is when you're going to seek partnerships, don't think it's like the first one's going to be that person, right? Like your job is to like see all the possibilities of partnerships, right? So
Mhm.
maybe when you're meeting this one person, you're going in what it feels like is with this expectation that this person has to have everything, but maybe you just met your graphics person. Like maybe you just met your manifestation. Maybe you just met these certain people that like, as you keep going along the journey, you can weave it together to make the
Mm,
story that you need it to be. So just
okay.
keep that in mind because that's what I heard. Um, oh yeah, and another thing I wrote down for you too is really important because you do have this practicality part of it, right? With everything, is to kind of like create some type of structure where you can expand in. And what I mean by that is like the way I'm taking the Unlock Your Brilliance Club is like we're gonna still have our two events a month. We're gonna still have community experts. We're gonna still have that basic structure, but I do have the ability to be flexible, of like jumping and creating this event right now, or creating new material for you guys or workbook. So it's still like an expansive playground for me, but it has structure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like it's structured. You have like we're doing this and this for sure every month, but still fluid enough to where it's like I feel called to do also this.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Like you need the
Ooh,
same type of, you need the structure, right? Because that's what's going to make your Saturn feel like, okay, she's did the work, but you
right.
also need to be able to innovate at the same time, right? So then how do you create when you're talking about these sponsorships, how you're going to garnish them, think about how you can create structure, but also allow it to where you can have a lot of freedom too.
Mm, damn. Okay. Okay.
So now we're to the part where I want to talk about more of like this month specifically.
Okay.
And so I looked at your energetics just for the month of um, December into January. And the reason I say that is because the way that the lunar charts work, like sometimes they start in the later half of the other, like December into January. So yours happened to start, I'm going to tell you, on December 31st. So
Oh,
you're kind of pretty much in alignment with the rest of the. I was like, go
okay.
for it. She doesn't have to worry about that part. Let me pull it up really quick here. There we go. So here's like what I got as an overview. You this month is going to be a money month for you as far as like making money, thinking about money. Your whole like energy and focus is going to be about money, but at the same time, it's going to feel like a bit overwhelming, right? So
Mm,
as you're going through that process, always keep thinking about like how you could take your power in situations. So when you're feeling overwhelming or feeling overwhelmed in situations, kind of like, okay, what's making me feel overwhelmed? How can I set a boundary to feel more powerful? Right. So how maybe like I'm the 10K is making me feel overwhelmed. Like I know 10K is the goal. Maybe I break it down to 2K each week.
mm.
So like when it feels overwhelming, find ways to take your power back where you're still getting the same outcome.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Things say,
So I mean, still structure, like figuring out how to create a level of structure. I mean, literally what you just said. Figure out how I can create structure that still allows me to expand.
exactly.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just essentially, I need to put that into play this month regarding my proposals.
Yes. And when you're feeling overwhelmed, ask how can I take my power back? Right. So maybe it's like, oh gosh, like maybe you start getting the 10K in this and it came in the first 2 weeks or the first, and you're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. Like I didn't expect all this. Like in those moments, say like, how can I create structure around this? How can I take my power back in boundaries so that it feels better?
Okay.
And then the last key is like to always be expansive, like always make sure you're being optimistic and thinking about those possibilities and thinking about those ways that you can innovate, because innovation is a part of this month too. But this is like a really heavy, like all your energy wants to focus on money and values.
Okay.
Now here's the
Money
thing,
and values. Okay.
money and value. Now here's the thing you have to worry about a bit is you can generate money this month, but it's going to be hard for you to accumulate, which means like save it. So try to think about having some type of automations coming in when you're like if it's like automated straight to like a savings account, or one thing I always do for me is like the 50-30-20 rule is like 50% towards me, 30% towards wants, 20% towards savings
Okay.
mentality. But like it's going to be harder for you to save, but your energy is going to be focused on making money this month. So I want to follow up with you at the end of the month and like see how the money generation came, because I feel like if you put your energy and you focus in the right way, you can. But the
Okay.
accumulation part is going to be the tricky, like saving it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
So before I move on to the next person, I was thinking, I want you to tell me like 3 steps from this conversation that you can take to get to that 10K sponsorship, like intuitively what comes to you. Um, and even if it's one, I'll take one, you know.
I mean, the biggest thing that I have been, the biggest thing that stopped me is um the whole probability and then the probability thought process leading to anxiety or just believing that I can't do it or whatever, right? So just even just like shifting my thought process and mindset into like the optimism and expansive and like in the real play of like what are the possible avenues? Because like I'm super into, like metaphysical and like that kind of stuff. But for me, it really helps to like have either like the science or the action behind it and more action than like affirmations or whatever. Like, so the fact that I'm actually using what works for me of thinking in possibilities, but what are the actual possible avenues that I can use versus like, let's think of like endless possibilities. So like that really really helps um to just even feel like I can do it, right? Like even give myself enough, I guess like even courage to be like, Courtney, you can do this.
Exactly.
So I mean that right there is just like I think that that's super major. And then with the what are the possible avenues, actually like writing down the companies that I want to work with, and like also figuring out like what are the values of the companies that I want to work with, right? Because like I mean my company is only black facing, you know, facing, yes, but also like focused. And so like if you're not taking action towards any version of Black Lives Matter, then like we don't have the same values. Like we're not on the same page.
Exactly. I think the biggest takeaway, the homework assignment I want to like pass to you is I want to see like within the next few days a list of all the possibilities that you could take to get to this 10K mark, like who you would partner with, like the steps that you would want to take, the action, like the action steps you can see, the people you want to partner with, the places that will have to be integrated to make that happen. Like that's what I want to see first. And then you kind of propel this energy for the next month, because you really can't be in the, you don't want to do the low end vibration of this energy. Like it's all supporting you this month.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
so
Yay. Okay, Court. I'm gonna bring on Michelle.
thank you so much, babe. You are so amazing.
No, thank you. I can't wait. Like this is, I want to see like a report at the end in the club. I want to see, because like you have a lot of energy to make money this month. So I'm like, it just really depends on the mindset and driving forward. So like if you get stuck, just hit me in the DMs. Like don't get on that lower wave emotional. You know, we can't be there this month. No, no. Okay.
Babe.
Okay. Hey Michelle.
Hey, Malana, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm so happy to see you.
I know, I've been a little MIA.
I know, but good MIA, like for
Yes, very much so.
good reasons. Like,
Yes, exactly.
okay, so I want to start the same way that I started with Court, with what goals do you want to accomplish? And when you submitted the form, it was that you want a 5K month. Is that still true?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So for me, the difference between like you and Court is that you have that left arrow of when it comes to like manifestation. So I was really proud. I'm like, she got a very specific goal. So I'm like, yes, like we don't need to narrow anything. The fact that you said 5K, like that's what we're honing into.
Okay.
So the other part, like how I was saying that Courtney needs to focus on like possibilities, your focus is actually on power, right?
Okay.
And so you want to be asking yourself, like, I know it sounds crazy, but like, am I winning? Like, am I winning? Am I on top? Like, because from your view, you kind of know like who's on the top, who's on the bottom, who's winning, who's losing. Like you're always tracking this. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to your financial goals this month, I want you to have that same mindset, right? So like, am I winning? Am I accomplishing my goals? And so I was thinking like a good weekly financial checkpoint would be really good for you. So like every week I monitor that. So like I'm not good at math, so I'm gonna bring my calculator out. But yeah, so like 12, you should be making like 1250 every week to make that goal happen, right? And so like maybe every Sunday you're like, am I winning? Am I winning? Right? Because it's about you feeling powerful and about you being a leader, right? And about you like taking the steps that's necessary to get there. So for you, it's really, really important, because I was looking at your human design chart, for you to not, like, as you're doing those financial checks, make sure that you're not just saying yes to everything. Like, I think that might be the thing that gets you tripped up. If you're just like, yeah, I'll help you with that. And you're like, oh, I didn't do the thing I needed to for my business, right?
Yeah.
Or making sure that like you're really staying in alignment with your routines, right? So like, and making sure your routines are supporting this goal. Because if your routines are out of alignment with this goal, it'll be hard for it to match up. So every week when you're looking at if I made that amount, also do some energetic tracking. You know, like, did I feel satisfied? Am I saying yes to the right things? You know, and is my routine supporting this goal? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. I want to look at one more. I gotta pull this other chart. I'm literally like bouncing between charts as I'm looking. Okay. So I want to talk about your natural vibration when it comes to money, like your natural state. So this is like chart wise. So I would love your feedback if it's different for you, but it's easy for you to just detach from money and go with the flow. What is money? How is money? Do I need it? Do we all need it? Who cares? kind of escape from the reality of that part of money. But it's really important for you to have, like, it's going to be hard for you to do this, but it could be the key to unlocking what you're looking for, is that you have to make a plan and make sure you're investing in like educational programs that's helping you learn about money. Like always continue your education about money, right?
Yeah.
But like that part for you is like, but it's hard. Like it's not like you're like, I don't want to do it. I'd rather just not worry at all.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yeah. No, it's crazy because like I was just for those of you guys who don't know, I've been with my sister who has a newborn and her husband, and they're very on top of money, and they were talking about like index funds the other day, and like in my head I was like, I should really ask them more about this, and I don't want to.
That's a good yeah, because your natural instinct is like, whatever, like very detached. Like it is what it is. It's just a material possession. It's just a thing.
Just a thing.
But like in order for you to unlock that area, it is going to take you you're going to have to put the work in to understand the material and understand like financial education programs will be your best friend. So maybe it's also it requires patience. Like it's not going to be something that you're going to feel like you have to work hard to make it happen. So like I would just like maybe one educational program a quarter or something around money just to get better, you know, like, okay, that's it.
No, I definitely have a couple of books that like I was literally thinking about this on my drive today. This is very synchronistic. I think that's the way I say it, you know, like, on point, girl.
Yeah, I always love to like because like this is all charts and intuition coming through, but like I always want to know what's real when you're experiencing it, because that's how I integrate too. So here's the other part. So I looked at then your chart for this month, right? So for this month, this energy actually started for you on the 21st.
Okay.
So it's gonna end for you on the 17th of this month. So I'm kind of like catching you in the middle of this month. So you might be able to speak to it a little bit now. But this is definitely a month where you're thinking about money and your focus is on money and revenue. So that's definitely really real for you. But it's also a good time for you to release things that are not like values that you're like, I don't want this to be my money narrative anymore. Like this is a good month to let that go. And it's also a really good month for you to generate money, but to also accumulate it. So like how I told Courtney, like get a savings plan because she might make the money and it'd be like, where's my money? You can actually accumulate it. But the feeling that you might get is like, I feel underpaid, or I feel like you might meet that 5K mark and be like, ugh, but like it's not like as much as like more work than money, but you met the 5K mark still, you know? Right. So be careful with like, that might be a narrative that comes up. And like, if it was me, I would just lean into it. Like, I would just be like, okay, this might be a month. I can make money this month, but it just might not be the month where you're like, oh, I made like, what's the word I'm looking for? You know how you like, the value add felt so big. It just might be like you met the 5K, but you were like, whew, I worked hard for that. Like, this is a little uncomfortable, you know? So keep that in mind because you still have energy to do it. So if there was, what I thought about for you is like, this is a good time probably for you to, when you were talking about doing those like trials or like starter parts or like beta things that are maybe lower price, like this might be a good time where you will get the traction from it. Even though you might be like, I know I need to charge X amount of dollars for this, but like, this might be a good month to do the beta rounds, you know, and just to get the people in the door. But you have until the 17th. So it's like a 2-week stretch for you.
Okay, cool.
So I guess with the 5K month mark, what is going to be your like next step? Because Court has to make me a whole list of possibilities. What's going to be your step in, do you have an ideal of what that could be for you?
So I like the idea of the beta round, opening that up, so I'm still working on figuring out the insides outs of like linking everything. So trying to figure out through Linktree, like how to make a link to get people to like just get in touch with me with that, so that there's the offer there. Cause right now it's not clear like that. I've got a couple link trees, but it's not like beta round special price, like make it more specific. And then I think going on Instagram and doing the lives, because since you and I did our session, our live in November, like I've had so much life experience, which has been really cool. But I've had some pretty huge personal wins on like the anxiety front that I need to share with the audience. And I haven't. I've just like fallen into this like newborn phase, which is awesome. I'm so grateful to have this time with my family. But I think that will really help like bring people to me, because it was such a big personal win for me, and kind of my charts about like I go through struggles and then I can help other people through struggles. So that's kind of what I see going on for the next few weeks.
My suggestion at homework for you would be to think about that 5K mark and break it down. Like, so you know you want to make 5K. What can you offer?
Right.
Meet that goal. So maybe I'll do 10 people at X amount of dollars to get. So maybe you do a lot of one-on-ones, or you do like a group program around it. But instead of trying to figure out how your whole back end of your business works, just make the back end of that program work.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah,
just
that makes sense.
if it's just making a link for Linktree, and then they can sign up through Calendarly, and then they get a Zoom link after, and it's super informal. Don't get into the perfectionism place, because you literally have like 2 weeks to take advantage of this energy. So if I were you, I would be more like, here's the beta offering I'm doing. And before you even go into the YouTube or any of those things, like that offer is set up and ready to support you, So here's what I've learned, and here's how I can help you master the same thing in this beta group. But I would really take advantage of that. You have this like little time slot still where you can generate the money. So I would just be like, how can I get to 5K in 17 days?
Yeah, for sure.
And then spending like a couple of days just saying, I'm going to organize my back end. And after that, I would just be bringing people into the beta. And you can even do the beta activity after the 17th, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you've already generated the money from it.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Yay. Does that help? Does this resonate with you at all?
Yeah. This is great. Thank you. I definitely needed this.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to like unmute Natasha next, if she's still available. Hey, Natasha.
Hey. I have kids, so I had to mute.
Don't worry. Like, I literally have a crazy dog that I'm surprised that hasn't barked, and I have roommates that don't like to listen to me when I'm on calls. So I totally understand. And I have a niece and nephew that when I'm around them, they're like, meow. They're like toddlers. So no problem at all. So I'm going to start the same vibe that I did with everybody else of like, what goal do you want to accomplish? And on your form, you wrote a new revenue stream. Is that still true for you?
Yeah, it's more or less picking which one.
Okay.
I told you yesterday, I'm all over the place with it. All over the place. Like I have a whole list of things I'm doing, and there's one that I feel like is an absolute non-negotiable, but it's going to take a while to get this up and running. So I need to make sure I'm doing other things to kind of, get income, because I have bills to pay.
Yeah, exactly. Don't we? That's a part of, I think it's like balancing the adulting with the actual like alignment is kind of hard, because it's like, we know we have bills to pay, but we really have to do stuff that matches our energy. Like that's the only way that it's sustainable, Right. So I do get it. So now I see, now it's just not a new revenue stream. It's like sifting through the revenue stream ideals that you even do have now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing I looked at your human design chart, and you are on the same place that Courtney is, of like having to kind of like feel. It's like the right era perspective is like kind of feel into, like you don't have to have a specific narrative, like I want a red car, I want to wear this color dress, but you do have to like feel into things, right? So like even I would even encourage you, when you're looking at these different revenue streams, like how would it feel to have that be there now? Like and see, because that might help you eliminate like, oh, I didn't like how that felt when I was like envisioning that. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think that's kind of the problem. So I sit there and I kind of start one thing, and I'm like, but how long can I really sustain this? Let me try something else. And I'm like, I go on to something else. And like yesterday, everybody comes to me for like cooking advice and stuff like that because I lost a ton of weight just based off my diet and things. So a lot of people come to me for cooking advice and, you know, nutrition and things like that. So I was like, you know what, I'll make some YouTube videos and I'll show them how to put some quick, easy meals together, you know, whatever. So yesterday I sat down and I, you know, planned it out and I'm like, okay, so now all I have to do is dig into the nutrition a little bit to tell them why I'm doing it this way. And I was like, yeah, but do I really want to keep doing this? Because I know I'm going to get bored with this. Like, I don't want to just post 6 videos of me doing this and then drop the ball because it's not something I want to do long term. And that's kind of my issue. I start things and then stop and start and stop. And I'm all over the place with it. Same
Okay,
thing
so
with real estate.
I want to tell you why. 2 reasons why. A, you're a manifesting generator. So manifesting generators, we like to jump from like lily pad to lily pad. Like we're like a part of our energy is just like starting things and like keeping to going around and putting our energies in different buckets, right? It's like we're like the great multitaskers of the world, if you want to have that analogy. And on top of that, you have an open head center. So you're like taking, and you're, oh my God, your design is similar to mine. So let me tell you, it's like you're taking in information. This is what used to happen, and it still does, but I'm more aware of it. Like you're getting all these inspiration drops, right? And then you can't create any structure to it. And it's like inspiration, no structure, but then you have all this energy every day. So you just throw your energy into all these like random buckets that don't lead to any results. Does that feel true?
Absolutely. And that
yes.
is my struggle.
Yes. Okay. So here's how I resolve that. Number one, you need an inspiration journal, like something like a little journal like this, right? And it's going to be all for your inspiration. So like you're going to, because you're constantly getting dropped in new ideals, right? Whether it's somebody telling you, oh, Natasha, you should do this, or no matter what it is, you're getting ideals. So when things happen, when I get like random drops or inspiration from people, I write it in my inspiration book because I refer back to my inspiration book after I met my main goal, right? So that's step one. And then step two would be kind of, you have to ask yourself this question. It's this book called The One Thing that I love so much. And you have to ask yourself, like, what is the one thing that if you put your energy into that will fix everything, right? So if you think about, okay, I want to get a new place, I want to fix, update my house, or all these other goals that you have, and then you have this list of all these ideals you have. Like, what's the one thing you could put your energy into that will resolve or eliminate something that's on your like desires list, right? So that's the second way that I kind of do that. And then my third way is like create, and I think I told Courtney this earlier, like create something where you have different abilities to play. So like for me as a human design business coach, like I talk about human design, money, business, and astrology, right? But do you know how much information I can bounce in between with all of those 4 areas? But like to the public, I'm a human design business coach. Like it doesn't get that complicated for them. And so like pick an arena where you can play and bounce between things that allows you to be like, because you're gonna quit. That's what we do. Like we start something, we quit and we move to something else. At least you're like quitting and moving to something else, but you're not looking scattered externally. Does that make sense?
It does. And that's the thing. So I know what I want to focus on. Like it's the transitional housing.
Okay.
And I think once I really get that going, that I'll be okay because there's so many different aspects of that. There's programs, there's marketing, there's, you know, the kids, there's counseling. There's a lot of different things that go into that. So I'll be able to be all over the place and it's perfectly fine. But the thing is, like, I'm still in the early stages of that and I'm networking and I'm trying to get the people together for the board. I'm trying to figure out, you know, exactly what states we're going to start in. So that's still super new. But again, my thing is like now I need to figure out what I'm going to do and kind of hone in as to how I'm going to pay my bills in the meantime.
So, okay, here's what I'm hearing, because you're 5'1" too, and that's my, like if we talk about like opposites attract, me and you are like the opposite attract type of energy, right? And so what I find with working with my opposite attract people is that you like your one line needs a foundation. Like what I'm continuously here is like, you're like, yeah, but this is all you're saying is cute, Malana, but I need to pay my bills, right? So I think step one is like asking yourself, what would it take to pay your bill? Like, what do you really need to do to pay the bills? Right? That will allow you to create that developmental business without the stress. Because like literally with the one line, without that security, you get flustered all the time. Like you need that financial, making sure you have like bread and butter and like food in the house. Like you need those main things. Because otherwise you can't even really experiment the way that you want to in that new direction, because all you're worried about is like, oh my God, like my bills, my my bills, my practical things that must happen. Does that make
Right.
sense?
It does. And you know what? It's funny because I worry about it so much, but literally the things I need come to me when I need it. But I don't necessarily always know where it's coming from. And I don't like that.
No, and that's not the way that like I'm telling you, I've worked with a lot of 5-1s before. Like I can see because I'm a 6-2, so I naturally like can just go through things and be like, oh, let's pop over here. And they're just like, okay, but like even a trigger of a notification of a bill date and a coming through would like take them completely off track because it's not like and I would be like, wait, like, and this is where I would get in fights with my 5-1s because I'm like, you're supposed to be helping me over there, and then they would get triggered by this thing, and I'm like, look, we got to keep moving, right? And so it's literally like it's something in your body, right? So your mind wants to go and do all these like off the wall, crazy leftistic ideals, but your body is stopping. It's your physical body that's stopping you. Like you get stopped in your tracks physically, right? So you really have to find a way to secure a level of your reality because you're not going to feel safe and secure without that. You're just not. Like even when you go build those other things, it's like what will it take for you to be able to meet your main necessities, without you don't need all the different waving of possibilities to happen. Like that's not, I wouldn't recommend that for you. And the interesting thing too is when I'm looking at your chart is like you're the probability person. Like I don't know if you were listening in on Courtney's, but your probability. So you have to always be looking at the probability of this happening. So what's the probability of you launching your business and making X amount of dollars a month? Like, is that a high probability or is that low? And so you have to kind of be real with yourself that way instead of trying to look at all the possibilities. When you're looking at all the possibilities, like that's when you're getting off track.
And you know what? I think that's why I keep quitting things because I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, what's the probability that I'm going to stick to this or I'm going to keep going? And I feel like, even like I said with the YouTube thing, like I don't feel like it is sustainable for me. Like I cook all the time, right? I have kids. I have to cook. I have to feed myself. But what's the probability of me sticking to this and really doing this? And like,
yes,
my plan was to make the videos yesterday. And I literally got dressed and everything, set up my Osmo, got everything together in my kitchen, pulled out all the ingredients. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do this.
Yeah. You literally have to two things. You're going to be, your mind's going to be constantly thinking about the possibilities. If it's doing that, like, oh no. Like if there's too many possibilities in your mind, that's your warning of no, but probability. So when you're thinking from a percentage, like you just did, like what's the probability of this, like going to like scaling YouTube in 1 month and then making the money that I need? Oh, that's not really it, right? And as a manifesting generator, listening to like you literally, your energy will pull towards something that you want to do. It'll feel like if someone is giving you an opportunity, it'll be like, oh, I want to go start that right now, right? So when that happens, still push it away. Give yourself some time to emotionally process things and don't jump into things too quickly. So with those two things, it's like keeping probability at the forefront and then also paying attention what your body moves to, not just like, don't make decisions based off like the part of you that's like, I got to pay my bills, right? Like that's not the healthy part. It's like, you want to move towards what your energy is going to, and you'll see the most healthiest results there.
Yeah, I think another issue I have is I kind of end up doing everything for everybody else too, and not focusing on the stuff that I need to focus on for myself enough.
That's what happens with that open head and open ajna. Like So it's called losing focus. So the way that you you have to keep your inspiration journal, I'm telling you, because I live this. This is like a part of my truth. Our designs are not exactly the same, but we have the same open centers. Keep your inspiration journal. Make it like you have to decide, right? So like I made a decision that I'm going to be a human design business coach. Here are my offerings. I'm sticking with this, right? Like this is what I'm doing. And when people bring me opportunities, I'm like, it needs to go into in my inspiration journal if I can't act on it, or can this be a good opportunity to work with the playground I already created? So that's kind of how you're gonna have to, and I know exactly how you feel, because it's like you have all this energy and you keep getting into like draining your energy all over the place, scattered, can't create systems and structures. You just feel crazy. But literally, I'm telling you this, and it doesn't go away. Like it doesn't go away, but you can manage the way that you're feeling by just kind of having those systems in place. Okay, and last thing I do want to really talk to you about is I looked at your chart for the month ahead. Well, actually, before we do that, I wanted to talk about your natural experience with money. So you're the person, like you need a plan. And it's funny, we talked about this before I jump into this part, but you need a plan for your finances. Like you're not the person that can just like go off the cuff. And that makes so much sense when we were talking about the one line in your body, right? So you definitely need a plan, but you also like, you might need to do it you need an accountability partner. Like you don't want to do this by yourself. Like a part of you is like, I don't want to have a plan and stick with a plan by myself. So an accountability partner would be like really healthy for you. And finding ways to make it fun, or finding ways to like build an escape. Like, okay, if I do these practical things today, like I'm going to go binge watch on YouTube. I'm going to go meditate after you do all the practical things of the day. It's really important for you to integrate those two things. Does that resonate at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a plan. You need a plan and you need a partner.
Yeah, and you know what? I try, but every time I feel like I find an accountability partner, and I feel like I'm great at helping other people. I can help other people stay on track. I get ideas for other people. I'm like, you should do this, you should do this. I'm great with helping other people and being an accountability, somebody else's accountability partner, but I always feel like I don't know, people end up dropping the ball and not doing what they are supposed to be doing. And then they kind of start dodging me more or less because they're not doing the things they're supposed to be doing. So they're like, oh, we'll catch up later. Oh, I still didn't do it. We'll catch up later. And they'll just keep putting it off.
You know what I think? Well, for me, this is from my experience and me and you carrying the same energy. I used to be so scattered that like it was hard for anyone to help me, because I would bounce from like lily pad to lily pad ideals. Like I'll literally be in a session and create a whole nother ideal, a whole nother plan, a whole nother company. And they're like, Malana, what do you want to do? Like, I'm I can do it all. Like I can do everything. Like and I literally still can do everything, but I learned how to structure, like for MGs, I think it's really important to structure make different homes for our ideals, right? So like I have Malana B, Jayde, like that's everything to me right now. I'm putting all my energy, and I made a decision like that's where my energy is going. But if you really would look at how many other ideals I have in the background that's like coming up, or things that are happening, you will be like, oh my God, like how is she managing all these things? But the way that I stay focused every day is I'm like, if I scale this Malana B Jayde thing, like this is what's gonna take me to the next level, that's gonna be able to propel me to be able to do all these other things that I want to do, right? And so you have to really start to like hone in your mind, quiet your mind, like brain dump. Like I love brain dumping, like writing all your things out, and you have to learn how to get yourself organized and centered, because it's hard for someone to be accountability partner for us if we're all over the place. Like they're having to keep a track of 50 ideals for us. Like who in the right mind wants to help us, you know? Like I look back at who I was, I'm like, how did I have friends? But I had friends because they would borrow my energy and they would propel to the next level, and I would still be stuck at the same place, right? So I don't know if that resonates with you at all, but that was my real life experience with having the same configuration that you do, or similar.
It does. And that kind of goes right with what I said. Like, I'm great at helping other people, Like, but it's just when it comes to myself, I am all over the place. So yeah,
I
I'll have
think
to
like
look into the accountability thing.
yeah, like I had to tell myself a long time ago to give myself give my energy back to myself. So like instead of running around for a bunch of other people, like how can I take the energy I do have and create some level of stability for myself? So for you, it's like losing focus. You don't have time to be answering other people's questions that get you off track. All your inspirations that come through, like you need a book for them. Because if you're anything like me, you get another business idea or another opportunity every day. Like they're just flying at you. And so
Yeah.
you have to be able to like write them down. Like, oh, Malana talked to me and she wants to do this idea with me, but like it's in my book doesn't mean I have to take action on it, right? And like knowing, like, and this is the thing I had to say, what is the one thing that if I do this will fix everything, right? And I defined that. And now I'm so solid, like people just can't, you can pitch things to me, but like if it doesn't make sense for that one thing I'm trying to aim towards, I'm like, okay, let me table it. Like check back with me in 6 months, check back with me. Like I'm really good at like um staying focused on myself. And you can lose focus because people are bringing stupid questions to you, taking you off track all the time and borrowing your energy. And you get home and it's like, yeah, you feel satisfied in the sense that you use your energy, but you still feel like, what did I do for Natasha? You know, it just feels like that, like it's something's missing, you know?
Absolutely.
I do want to talk about before, because we only have a few more minutes. I'm probably gonna have to do Deja and Shantae's charts off of the live. So
Fine with that, because I'm out anyway, so that's fine. I
okay.
just didn't want to be rude.
I love you, projector. Yeah, we can do it on maybe Monday or Tuesday, early next week.
Okay, that's fine. Just let me know what works for you.
Okay, love you.
Love you too. I'm gonna hop off.
Okay.
All right, bye bye.
Bye. So Natasha, last thing I want to talk to you about this month. I want to talk about the energy you have to generate this month, like not just overall. Let me pull it up. Let's see.
I'm so interested in this because I feel like I felt a shift. So I want to see if I'm on point with,
what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So this month, so this started for you December 22nd. And you're on the same boat. You're in the same boat as Michelle. So this is gonna end on the 18th. Michelle's ends on the 17th. So you're on that 2 weeks, like hustle until you can kind of thing. So for you, you actually have like the energy right now and the ambition to push towards your financial goals. Like you have the energy, right? You can generate income right now. There is going to be like a lot of like unexpected opportunities that may occur, like that may happen that you're like, oh, they could throw you off track. So be ready to be in a space of innovation and change if necessary, right? Make sure that like, so you are going to need like, you could generate money, but you can't save it as easily. So you're in the same boat as Michelle, like making sure you have a system in place. So like, let's say you make that 5 or 10K or whatever you want to make, like make sure you have a system to save if that's something that you want to do, you know, because it could be like a revenue generating month where you're just making money and paying bills with no savings. You know what I mean? So if you really want to save this month, you're going to have to take the extra precautions to like whether it's automatic or the 50-30-20 system I talked about, like it's going to be difficult for you to do it on your own. But yeah, you do have it. Like you have like you are thinking and you're ready to take action. You're ready to move. You're ready to go. Right. And it's like, you could be very impatient because you're like, I'm ready to like, let's do this. Like, let's do this. So like your whole energy is into making money this month.
I felt it.
You felt it, right?
Yeah, because yeah. I felt it when it happened. I told my daughter, I said, I don't know what happened, after that eclipse and everything happened, but like my whole energy just changed. I've spent a lot of time kind of, I feel like in a very feminine space. I'm used to being in a very masculine space and just going. And I feel like I've spent a long time in a feminine space where I'm like creating and writing and doing all this, but I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself right now. Like I really don't. And after that, I feel it. I feel it. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm on Clubhouse, I'm networking, I'm reaching out to, like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm like, yeah, it's go time. So
You know what comes to me as like next steps for Natasha, because now that I know your energy and I've been able to like see it on through the charts, I would advise you, instead of like hopping on Clubhouse and jumping from this pillar and going over here, because like that's what burns our energy out, but it's not what was needed to happen. Like I think you need to go into a space of the same thing I had to do, is like get an inspiration journal, write down every ideal until your brain literally feels clear. Like my brain, I remember like there's like nothing else to write, right? Write it all out, like all the things that are in your head. And after you do your brain dump, create like all the different opportunities that you have on the table right now to make money, right? And then at that point, kind of ask yourself that same question, like what opportunity can I invest my energy in that's going to help me meet like my financial goals? And then take action in that direction, and then take actions like you're going to skip steps because you're a manifesting generator. Like we're going to go all over the place. But I always ask myself, like, what is the best next step today? Because I can lose focus, right? So I always have to tell myself that in the beginning of the day, because someone can easily grab me and now I'm down a rabbit hole that has nothing to do with what I want to do, like absolutely nothing. So I always set that intention of like, what is my best next step in this direction today? And as long as I did that one thing, I'm okay. Because it's going to be hard for you to cut off all the distractions, but I always make sure that my one thing gets done regardless, like period. Like, I don't care.
see, me being on Clubhouse, it was actually, and I'm so glad that I got in when I got in, because I've only been in there for like 2 days now. But I've been trying for like a month to get in there because I need it for networking to do this transitional housing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my purpose and my goal, and it's working. And I did write everything down and do what you said as far as that. It's just a matter of actually doing the stuff that I have written down, because I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. And I know like if I do this, like I'll have some sort of results, but I'm like, is it really what I want to do?
And is it what you want to do? And then what's the probability? Because the one thing I keep hearing, and it's so important for like, I work with so many 5-1s, like you have to be financially secured, like in everything. It's security in home, security in family, like security is like the key word. And so like, what is the probability of you putting your energy into this and also gaining your security?
I just need to do more real estate. Like I know what it is. I've been fighting it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to sit on the phone making phone calls. Like it, I don't want to do that. So I keep making excuses not to do it and trying to find other things to do.
And really like take time. I don't know if like you're married or you have a partner or best friend, like, and this is difficult because I could tell that you're new on the human design journey. Literally like clear your mind, whether that's like listening to like a meditation for 5 minutes or whatever, and have someone close to you ask you yes or no questions, right? Like, so do you want to do real estate? And then does your energy literally, it feels like a literal pull towards that option, right? And I call it like a sacral session. So if me and you would like just take 5 minutes clear and I ask you these yes or no questions, like if your energy is not pulling towards it, it's a no. Like, even though if your mind tries to trick you, it's like a no, right? So you really have to like mix in what your mind is telling you to do that's right, and then what energetically is for you to do what's right, and like meet in the middle. But you actually this year, you have the energy. Like I would hate for you to waste it in a direction that is not cohesive for you, you know?
Yeah, see, I like doing it though. That's I like doing the real estate. It's just making the initial phone calls and like the leads part, like finding the leads and whatever. I like going out and meeting the people and appraising and designing. Like I like all of that stuff. I don't like sitting there on the phone calling people. So I've been trying to outsource it.
Yeah, okay.
But I've been trying, but one of the things that I find is that people set appointments with me because they like me and they like my energy. And I don't feel like other people have the same results. And I'm like, how can I duplicate me? Like I can give scripts and forms and everything else, but other people just don't have the same effect that I have.
You like resonate so much with me. And this is like my last thought before, because like my MG energy is like time for bed. But I really, the way that you are right now, it's just like it resonates so much with me. And I know what you're talking about. It's like, it's almost, we have all this energy and we want to duplicate it. You can't, like, your design, like, you have more consistent energy than most people on the planet. Like, you do. And so I, like, instead of looking at like how to mimic people, it's like, how do you find that person to fill in the gap, that the part that you don't want to do, so that you can keep building in more money for you, right? And then after you're building more money for you and your team and your real estate, then you can hire more people to grow. But like, you don't have to, a lot of people can't duplicate our energy. It's like, we're built pretty tough and strong, and like, we can last a long time outside of it being scattered and can't create structures. I mean, we're pretty we're pretty resilient outside of those two things.
Right.
So my homework would be for you, since it feels like the real estate is like what's drawing you, but really get clear on what it is before, because what I realized with our energy, Natasha, it's not the work part. The work part is easy for us. It's the alignment part that's hard. Like, making sure we're putting our energy in the right bucket, right? But the part of like working us, like, I can just like knock out things quickly, but like, it takes a lot of energy for me to make a decision on like, is this the right path? And so that's the part I would encourage you to take like, put your energy into making the right plan. And then once you're like really secure, like, don't skip steps there, then move forward, because you'll start seeing like, oh, like, like the container you chose, it's more sustainable. So you don't have to keep going back to this whole like losing focus part of your energy that's like really irritating.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope it helped on some level. I know we only had like 15 minutes per person, but I did want to give you guys some like energetics of like what's happening, so that we can all use the energy to help us grow. Like, if we have the energy to make money and to manage it and to save it, we got to take advantage of it. We don't want to be in the wrong mindset.
Right.
Okay. All right, Natasha, Michelle, Natalia, thank you for popping on. I'll have new events posted for January soon. I'm just going to take the weekend off and then I'll be back on Monday, but we'll do something fun. And Natasha, guys, she is new to the Unlock Your Brilliance Club. So we got a new boss babe in the building. So she will be with us moving forward. So this will
That's
be fun.
awesome. I was so excited, and I just have to really quickly say I'm really excited to hear more about you, Natasha, because I was listening to what you were talking about and what you were doing and what you were thinking of doing, and I want to know more. So it's nice to meet you, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Okay, ladies, I will see you next week sometime. You know, I'm always going to create something for us. So I'll see you guys soon.